In this episode, you'll get a breakdown of the quote, "We see what we are," and how to apply it to your business. Welcome to Energy Alignment for Entrepreneurs, the podcast helping online service based entrepreneurs reduce stress, balance emotions, and grow a profitable business in less time. I'm your host, Justin Igliscus. Here we go. 3 things you'll discover today: how fear works and how it makes your brain operate, why judgment is a gift and a priceless avenue to renewing oneself, and what to do if you are easily offendable, and how to grow through that weakness. We'll start with the quote, "We see what we are." And this is in correlation to fear of judgment. When we are judging others in our daily life, more often than not, it is our internal worldview being projected onto them. So the judgments that we create of another are more so about you and I than the individual whom we're projecting onto. Now, this internal mechanism, you can notice and feel what the frequency or vibration of judgment is if you'll attend to it as it arises via the mechanism or the vehicle of thought. Because you'll never have a judgment without thought. So if you can tap into your awareness, employ that blade of awareness, then you can cut down the parts of you which are not true. And thought is not one of those areas that truth resides within. Now, we need thought to create these videos. We need thought to have engineers. We need thought to create bridges. So thought has its place. If I didn't think, I could not use the English language. If I didn't think, I wouldn't be able to drive home. So therefore, we all need to think. But can we tap in to that awareness of the fact that most of our thinking is utterly useless? Gossiping, judgments, shoulds, coulds, woulds, projections into the future, over planning, all these forms of thought, they're utterly useless. Now, you can't believe me when I say this to you. It is totally dependent on how much work you have or not done that creates your relationship to vibrational frequencies. Because many humans aren't even aware that they are beings, although it's self evident when you look at the name, a human being. But so many of us are just human doings and human havings and humans with ambition. And I don't know how many people on this world right now are going into the essence of what we actually are. Now, that being said, there are many people doing the work. I'm not going to act like I'm the only one. And the ones who listen to this and sincerely go through these videos and use these videos as a environment for them to notice their own egotistical projections arise whilst listening, you're on the path, baby. You're on the path. You're doing great. If that's the way that you're using these videos so that you can notice as your thoughts arise whilst listening, I don't have a goal, but if there were any goal, it would be for me to speak so clearly and genuinely that it gets easier and easier for you to notice your own projections and conditioning arising as you listen, right? That is beautiful. Now, as you walk through this life, you're going to notice, I'll tell you a little story. And I remember being at the gym a few years ago. And fundamentally, the more people that go to the gym, the higher the likelihood that humans are going to have the space to wake up and to use their awareness. Thing is, so many of our humans are so diabolically lost and numbed and addicted to things that keep them lost. So their awareness is just too weak to even be employed. And I'm not judging them when I say that. You can feel that I'm speaking this gently. I'm just laying out the facts of the table. But the story is just this. A couple years ago, The more people who take care of themselves, the better our world gets. And this lady, although she was at the gym, I noticed I had a thought. And that thought sounded something like, why is she doing it like that? Right? And then I noticed, wait, what are you know? So I just want to take a moment to say, when you notice yourself doing something that isn't necessarily congruent, there's a nuance between judging what you noticed in yourself and just seeing it and noticing it and letting go and learning through that process of noticing and letting go. Because that's another trick that the mind will play on us is we'll notice something, but then we'll start thinking about what we noticed and judging ourselves. So with this lady at the gym, the moment I noticed I was judging her, I'm like, but dude, at least she's in the gym. At least she's on that elliptical. At least she is putting in some work, even if she's doing it in a crazy manner. That's, hey, right? One step at a time. And that's kind of the nature of compassion. Because I don't know where each individual who listens to me is at, but I can do my absolute best to share all the levels in which I have played through and worked through. And I still travel through many levels. That's the nature of life. Here's this quote, which I love, came from psilocybin. It's essentially the purest of beings will tap into the most savage extremes for moments. What that means to me is that Christ, he wasn't scared to feel what someone was feeling if they're angry. When you use that vibrational frequency scale, anger is one of the lower ones. But the purest of beings have the compassion and the space and the strength to go to those places with you because they care, right? That's the meaning. Now, how fear works and how it makes your brain operate. See, it's tricky. But if we look at space in terms of distance between my mouth, my lips, and the microphone, distance between my eyes and the camera, there is space there. Same thing happens in your brain. The part of the brain which employs the awareness needs to have space, okay? And fear is one of those. You can really feel it. And then you have a moment in your upcoming days or weeks where you notice that fear arise the moment is arising. You can feel the space psychologically dissipating or being sucked away from you. But at the same time, you can notice that, not judge it, and feel it. And that's the art of this game. The only way you can get the sense, the sensitivity to feel these things which are unseen is to be so open to doing the work. And the work is not in intellectualization. The work is not in reading more books. The work is not in any method or any tactic. The work is in listening and noticing, training that awareness muscle without discipline, force, and constraint. Because if you discipline yourself and force yourself to try to be aware, that's a trick that the mind plays on itself. This real learning isn't something that you can force, but you can choicelessly feel that you can no longer live an insensitive life. So what the fear does, right? When you lose that space, your brain gets tight, it gets weak, and you have to be vulnerable, innocent, strong enough to let yourself be weak. And then as you do that, you get strong, real strong. Now, why judgment is a gift and a priceless avenue to renewing oneself. You see, without the judgment, the self-judgment, receiving judgment, you won't have the pain and the contrast. And this is where so many go wrong. We seek and we choose security over the contrast of what we were meant to be. And what we're meant to be goes back to the quote. We're meant to travel through all the vibrations, as that's the essence of sharing in real education and true learning. It's born through that compassion, not memorization. So the judgment creates those moments in your life where you have the opportunity to dance with others, to dance with yourself, to learn. And as you are open and courageous to feel what others feel, to feel what you are in that moment. Then you renew yourself. Then you will naturally awaken. Whether you do this work before the awakening moment or after, the awakening moment is just a seed. It's nothing more than that. And it's up to you in your awareness, your life, to let that seed grow, to water it, to give it the nutrients that it needs, to check the pH of the soil. That's your responsibility. Now, what to do if you're easily offendable and how to grow through that weakness. See, the fear of judgment, if you live with small space and you aren't attending to it, then you grow weak. And on the other end, when you notice and admit that you're weak, then you have the opportunity to uproot the source of that weakness. And this is the game where the strongest people are the ones who are open to being the weakest. The strongest people are the ones who don't act like the strongest. Because when you're so strong, there's nothing you need to prove. And therefore, if you're easily offendable, the first step is to be honest about the fact that you're easily offendable. There's nothing wrong with it. There is something wrong if you don't learn and change. But there's nothing wrong with being who you are right now. Not at all. You're who you're meant to be. But the essence of life is change. You cannot step into the same river twice. So make sure that you're open, you're noticing, you're attending, you're learning, you're changing. You're questioning yourself, okay? You got that. You can do it. Now, let's look at the recap. How fear works and how it makes your brain operate. Fear cuts off space. You can feel it in your 3 bodily centers, the heart, mind, and gut. When you feel this deeply, not rationalizing, but to be present with the fear itself, you'll start to see what gifts it has for you. It'll show you how the mechanism of fear works. Fear will burn you until you're strong enough to look it in its eyes. Why judgment is a gift and a priceless avenue to renewing oneself. Judgment of others or being judged yourself is super likely to trigger your sense of self, the ego, or the thing which we refer to as I or me. But if you can notice what triggers you, if you can feel when you trigger others, you can start to learn about the nature of what a human being truly is. This is what religion is at its core. What to do if you are easily offendable and how to grow through that weakness. Honestly, it's a great sign for you if you recognize you're easily offended. Most hide it. Most blame others. If you can admit to your own weaknesses, you're already on the path to learn. You need to see how your weakness projects into this world. Naturally, you'll see that strength is innate and weakness is just a mask. Summary. Detachment and balance come hand in hand. You cannot have one without the other. The hyperachiever ego development stage is a strong phase for many business people. Go, 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 push, push, push. But that leads you misaligned. It leads you out of congruency. It's like straining a ligament in your leg and never letting it fully heal. We need to get good at listening to the whispers, not the trumpets. Sincerely, thank you guys. Each one of you. I appreciate you so much. Every single one of you. Thank you. Now, new episodes are out Monday, Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And if you want to know more about my one-on-one work and what we can specifically cover, I'll have a link with all the details within a free document below. So you can just click that. And if you want to center your 3 bodily systems, your heart, your mind, and your gut, and you know that it's time to get to the next level you for your business, for your family, for yourself, we can get you physically chiseled. That's just a side piece. The real parts of my work is getting your emotions functional, ending negative thought cycles and loops, and just creating you into an individual who can truly employ this blade of awareness so that you're the next level you in all areas. If that at all resonates, description.